in 2021, very often when we'd see these high inflation prints, well, today's price action is indicative that perhaps that narrative is crumbling.
Your perspective on what's happening.
Well, the number isn't so surprising to me, but what is encouraging is the market's reaction. Because in 2021, very often when we'd see these high inflation prints, the metals would sell off because the general market participants would say, well, that means the Fed's going to increase the pace of taper. They're going to raise interest rates. They're going to fight inflation. Well, today's price action is indicative that perhaps that narrative is crumbling, and the market is beginning to lose faith that the Fed is going to be able to get ahead of inflation. And, silver and gold investors, most of us anyway, have known that for a while. But what we need is the general market to recognize what we've expected. And it looks like perhaps that's starting to come to fruition.
Can you share with our viewers some of the charts and what price action you're looking at right now?
Yeah, so here's a chart for gold. And this chart goes back to 2018, so just over 3 years. And, we've been talking about this downtrend channel that you can see right here for well over a year, going back to August of 2020. Well, back in November of 21, we broke out above that, came back and back tested it. And now we're hovering just above it. So the chart for gold actually looks fairly constructive. Silver's been the metal that's really taken it on the chin in recent weeks. But silver looks pretty constructive as long as this support level can hold. I do keep open the possibility of another back test of this 1675 level. That's major support. So personally, I'm keeping just a little bit of cash on hand in case we back test that. But right now, there's no indications of that purely in the charts. But the one fly in the ointment, I would say, is that commitment of trader support. The big banks are still positioned in a way that they're incentivized to engineer lower prices. So I wouldn't be surprised to see another pullback, although the chart looks constructive. By the way, one more chart for gold here. One other thing that's noteworthy is that price is above a rising 50 and 200-day moving average. And that's good to see because that's really the simple definition of an uptrend. And whenever that structure is set up on a chart, the institutions and the big money tend to buy the dips instead of sell the rallies. So that's encouraging.
Definitely. As for silver, I know we're breaking above that $23 level. Are you bullish at the moment, or do you think we could see lower prices?
So I'll move on to a chart for silver here. And you can see this green line right here. This is the line that needs to hold as support. And, we've built a little bit of a buffer below there, above that support line. And that support line is right at $21.41. As long as support above there holds, I think it's constructive. We're carving out a base. However, if that were to fail, that does open up the possibility. I think it's an outside possibility of one more quick flush down into the high teens. Unlikely, but it's something I'm mentally prepared for.
Now, I know you recently have been reporting on platinum being extremely undervalued right now, and actually possibly more undervalued than silver. And for the time being, you're actually, it seems like, more bullish on platinum at the moment.
Yeah, it's hard to say I'm more bullish than on silver, but platinum is much more speculative than silver. I want to always emphasize that. So the vast majority of my metals portfolio is in silver, not platinum. However, I think platinum makes a fantastic speculation for many reasons right now, to include the chart set up here. And here's a ratio of platinum versus silver. And you can see just how undervalued platinum is, even relative to silver. And it's forming this very clear triangle pattern. And I think it's very likely to break above this downtrend channel that goes back all the way to 2001. And if that does, and we return to that ratio, that would mean platinum could potentially outperform silver by even a factor of 5 over the next handful of years. So yes, I think it's worth owning a little bit of platinum.
I think one of the key things that we've discussed before about platinum is that it's under gold's price right now, which is very unusual.
Yeah, it's not only is it trading less than gold, it's almost half of the price of gold. Gold's up near $1,800 and platinum's in the 900s. So yeah, this is a historic anomaly that I think is going to resolve with higher platinum prices.
Now, moving forward here, if we do look at the miners as well, I know they've been beaten down a bit as we've seen a pullback in gold and silver. Where do you think they stand right now?
Yeah, so you can see this chart for SILJ. And, there's no clear patterns here that can indicate the next price move. But you can see that they're oversold just above this strong support. This is SILJ, by the way, the junior silver mining ETF. And what we're seeing this week is a bullish engulfing candle. So that's encouraging. So I think we're trying to bottom. We're trying to find a bottom near these levels is the most likely scenario for the mining stocks.
Definitely. Are there any levels you're looking for to then jump in?
Well, my personal strategy is I scale in on weakness. I've already got my core positions. So whenever we see a nice sharp down day, I just buy a little bit almost every time. And I try and identify the miners that are, first of all, I put together a watch list every week, and I find the most attractive miners for chart-based entry points. And then if any of those mining stocks gets particularly sold off relative to the others, so that's where I scale in on weakness.
And are you seeing similar price action in the gold miners as well?
Yes, some of the gold miners have held up a little bit better, but there's one in particular. I typically don't, speak individual stocks out of respect for our paying members, but Sandstorm Gold is one that really has my attention here. It's a quality royalty and streaming company, and it's just beaten down. It was up near $11 in August of 2020, and now it's hovering near $5, less than half of where it was. And gold is just a few $100s less than where it was, and the company is made accretive deals since then. So I think this one creates a really compelling value proposition. Sandstorm Gold is one of them.
Definitely. And one of the other markets we also do look at is the stock market as well. I know since the Fed has tapered, I know some sectors of the stock market have been falling, but the Fed has announced a double taper, and it seems like for a lot of the indices, the stock market just keeps making all-time highs. Are you seeing that to continue for the rest of the year? What is your outlook?
No, I don't. Can you see this chart on my screen? This is a chart of the S&P 500. It goes back to 1971, and no comments necessary. This is just to show you where we are in the story. And the stock market has never been so technically stretched on a long-term basis. It's never been so fundamentally overvalued. So I think we're due for a sharp correction. I don't want to use the word crash, but I think a 10 to 20% pullback is very likely in 2022, probably in the first half, if not the first quarter. And that would actually be a very good thing for metals, because I think that's what would cause the Fed to reverse course and reverse policy on its tightening, on its plans to raise interest rates and do quantitative tightening and all that. And I think it'll, in fact, open up the monetary spigots one more time, like we've never seen before, with just a 20-30% pullback in the stock market. And that would obviously be rocket fuel for silver and gold when the Fed starts printing again, like they were in 2020.